Hey there, Tracy here. Welcome to our Trinity Stamps February new release hop. This is a hop, and I will have the links to the hop playlist in the description box below, as well as a way that you can win a $25 gift card from Trinity Stamps. So today I am making some deviled eggs. Let's jump in. Okay, so for today's video, here's what I'm going to be using from Trinity Stamps. I have here the Easter, Simply Sentimental Easter die set, and I'm going to be using the fancy dark black. I'm not going to use that stamp, I'm just going to use the die and its shadow layer, and then I'll be using some of the sentiments from the Simply Sentimental stamp set. I'm going to be using the Easter egg builder add-on die set, and I'm just going to use a couple of pieces from that, just the egg. This is so much fun, so many things you can do with it. So I just want to show you that there are two pieces to the egg, or a small egg and a big egg, however you want to do you. So there's our big egg, and here's the small egg, and I've already pre-cut those out just to save time on the video because it is a hop. And then I'm also going to be using something from one of our older releases, just because I felt like I needed some parsley. And that's going to be our alphabet soup die set. And I just wanted to show you what I do. These are just white scraps, and I cut them down to about 3 by 1.5. And I just keep them all together so that I can do little small projects like this. The only thing you want to make sure is that your whites are the same shade of white. So I have several different kinds of white paper. So when I'm cutting things out, I want to make sure, and if you can see the difference here, that I'm using the same white for everything. And you could sort those, but I can't be asked. I'm lazy bones. So I've cut all these out from those scraps, and then here's the little parsley piece, and I will do those later. So I'm going to start with a piece of watercolor paper, and I'm going to be using some spray stains in Twisted Citron, Mowed Lawn, and something forest. It went by too fast. And then I've got the oxides in, this is mustard seed, and I've got lemonade, and I've got, went by too fast, I think it was wild honey. I've got a little splatter brush, and I've got my Sidekick blending brush. And I'm going to start with my splat box, and I'm just going to wet down my paper, and this is watercolor paper, and I'll start with the lightest color and just kind of wipe things down. My splat box is very splatted, which is something we like to do, right? And most of the time I don't even use it. I just make a mess and maybe clean it up later. So I'm just kind of going through the layering process. So I decided to make deviled eggs today because every Easter, actually every holiday, Mike begs me to make deviled eggs. And part of me cringes. I'm like, oh gosh. I don't mind making the deviled eggs themselves. It's peeling the doggone things. But I did find a hack. And I really like the hack as far as you just basically tap, tap, tap lightly on the tippy top of the egg until it makes a different sound. And then boil them, and they peel easily. So what I'm doing here is I had put that through like a basket weave embossing folder, and then I just went ahead and did some brayering over the top of that with the Mowed Lawn, just to kind of give it a sort of a little basket effect. I realize it's still quite abstract, and that's okay. Now I want to color my insides of my eggs, and I keep my Trinity Stamps sticky mat on my platform for my, what's that thing, my switch, because I barely ever use my switch, and if I need it, I can just peel it off. And I'm coming in with the lightest color first, and then I'm kind of going darker around the edges with the mustard seed, and then coming in with the, golly, is it wild honey? I think it's wild honey, just around the very, very edges, just to give some dimension to my egg tops. And then that little teeny tiny brush you saw me use, I've got some fired brick here, and I'm adding my paprika. That's my rendition of paprika on top of those egg yolks. So we'll get this cleaned off, and then I'm ready to start putting the card together. So I'll glue my backer down, and I'm going to use liquid glue as usual because that's what I use. and just going all around, making sure I have plenty of glue on there so that it sticks nicely all over. And then I'll just lay something heavy on that so it can dry. And then what I'm doing here is I'm just showing you, I make a template so that I can find the center of my A2 cards. And so I just use an A2 card front, and I fold it in half both ways, and then I just poke a hole in the middle. And that helps me find the center. I could use a ruler too. I just don't know why. I just like to use a template like that. So I've made a little mark where the center is, and I'm going to start gluing my eggs down. So I'll make my first egg in the center, and then I'll use my T-ruler to get my 2 eggs beside it, one side and the other, and try and get them as evenly spaced as possible. I never do perfect, and please don't. Please don't do perfect. Just do you. So I'll get those, and then I'll do the top and bottom one, and then the 4 corners will be super easy. So I'm just covering my paper with eggs. And I will use my T-ruler again just to make sure that I get those on there and lined up, fairly well. Sometimes it's hard to place actual eggs because they're, not circular, not square. They're just an odd shape. But close is comfortable and good for me. All right, let's get this one on, and then we'll get this last one down. And I don't know, I just thought this was a crazy idea and something different to do. So I'm going to pop up all the little yolks, and I'm going to use these 3M foam squares, and we do sell those in the shop. And I'm going to put the squares on first, and then just stick my little egg yolks down onto them, because I do want a little bit of dimension, as if they were actually recessed inside the egg. Well, I don't know. You know how deviled eggs go. Now, if I had a little whipped topping die that would fit, I would have done that. You know how the fancy schmancy ones are, but we're not doing fancy schmancy. So I've cut out all my pieces of parsley, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I cut out 9 of them because I have 9 eggs. And I'm going to go ahead and use my little blending sidekick brush. And I'm going to grab I think I'm going to grab the Twisted Citron first. I'm just making sure that I don't have any oddball colors of green on my brush, just by brushing it off on a paper towel. And yeah, I'll use the Twisted Citron, and I like this mat because it's big enough that I can sit my ink down on it too, and it won't move either. So I'm just going to color in the Easter, and then I'll color in the little parsley bits with the lighter color. And I think I'm going to go a little bit darker with the parsley. I'm going to go with the mowed lawn. Just clear my brush off a little bit and come in with the mowed lawn. I'm just going to do each one, and then I will add the forest one, and I'll tell you what color that is once I pull it out here. It's not forest moss, it's timber. No, I don't know. It's one of the oxides. It's one of the green oxides. Evergreen, no. I don't know. I'll list it down below. I still can't see it, but it's the darkest green that stays in the green family. It doesn't have any hint of blue in it, just to kind of give my parsley a little bit of dimension. So I'm just sweeping up from the bottoms of each of the little parsley leaves. Okay, good to go on that. Get that all cleaned up, and we'll finish putting the card together. So off camera, of course, I am, on camera. Oh, there it is, Rustic Wilderness. Yay, I got it. I'm going to stamp my sub-sentiments with the Rustic Wilderness. And when you're stamping with a Distress Oxide, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 rounds to get it nice and thick, but I'm pulling back out my little scraps again and making sure I have the right white, because I can fit it all on one of those little scraps. So anytime if you kind of are feeling like you just don't have any crafty mojo, do prep work. Go through your scraps and cut out a bunch of small pieces like that so that you can, a lot of our Trinity especially dies are small enough to fit, on that 3 by 1.5 strip. And then I just tie a rubber band around each color family and keep them in a little spot that I have underneath my desk. I have bigger ones too that I do, but you know, sometimes when you're going through your scraps, there's not big, sometimes you feel like the pieces aren't big enough to keep. I used to keep strips, but honestly, space is an issue here, so I stopped keeping strips unless I have a specific project in mind. Um, because I junk journal too, I have a whole lot of scraps of so many things. So you can see I'm doing a couple of rounds here just to make sure it's nice and dark without pressing so hard that I, you know, mush up my letters. And I will fussy cut those out. So there's not a die for those. I mean, we do have dies that will fit those if you want a straight die, but I want kind of a specialized rounded off die. So I'll fussy cut those by hand. And I'll do those off camera because they're painful to watch. You can see I haven't cut them yet. I'm going to lay down my Easter, and I have glued that down to just a white shadow layer. And I want kind of a thicker foam tape. So I've got some here that I think is probably, I don't know, 2.5, maybe 3 millimeters. It's an oddball size, something I got from Amazon. And what I'm going to do, instead of putting it on the word, I'm going to put it directly on the card, just like you saw me do the little egg yolks, so that I can be sure that I have good placement, because I'm not sure on the back of Easter. So I'll get those down. I'll peel the backers off, and I'm just kind of testing it out, seeing if it's where I want it. And it is. And then I'm going to add a little gluesurance here, just so that I can move my sentiment around, make sure that it's nice and straight. Because just because I want it straight doesn't mean that I can will it straight. Sometimes I have to wiggle it a little bit. So here we go. Lay this down and just kind of move it around. Eventually it's going to take hold and I won't be able to move it anymore. But for now, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And could I use my T-roller? Yeah, but sometimes when the descender of a letter comes down farther, it's kind of hard to do, at least for my brain. And then I'm just going to use these small little foam squares to pop up the sub-sentiments. So we're having an excellent Easter, so I love the pun. And now I'm just going to kind of randomly place my little pieces of parsley, and a couple of them I'll cut, because I only did 9, so, and I want some on each egg. It doesn't have to be a whole one though, because sometimes you don't chop your parsley that way. And if you wanted to, you could add more, finger quotes, paprika, but I'm happy with the amount. I don't like a ton of it on mine. Just enough to give it a little color. So I'll cut this little guy in half. I'll just kind of fit him in there, and then I'll fit this other guy over here. And that's the card. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll hop along and leave a lot of love for everyone. I had an extra egg, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that egg inside the card just for the heck of it. And there we go. Now don't forget to click the link below. And thank you so much for stopping by. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks so much for hopping along. Take care. Bye-bye.